oh, you're looking for R-rated material that isn't Marvel and DC, because only Warner Brothers and Disney can have that. Everybody else in that city, boom, we've got our script. Oh, by the biggest R-rated property in comic books that you can get, and there isn't even a close second.
I am with the man, the legend, the Todd father, Todd McFarlane. How you doing, sir?
Good. How you doing? It's a good time to be at the convention right now, right?
It is
lots of exciting things happening.
So exciting. You know, I really liked last year's Comic-Con too, because it was focused more on the comics. I know that we had a strike going on, but this year Comic-Con felt like it was back in full swing, and I'm here for it.
I'd add, not only is it back in full swing for the first time in 5 years. I don't think people know that, but it seems pretty chill, right? So it's not like manic. I've been to a lot of conventions where it was a lot of people, and it seemed a little manic, people trying to get to where they want to. It seems to be a pretty good vibe here.
Great vibe,
Yeah.
a great vibe. I mean, I always love coming down to San Diego. It's such a beautiful place. You know, I saw you at the fandom party at, I don't even know what day it is. That day was like Friday. We were talking about some of our fandoms. One of my fandoms is obviously the Spawn movie. Yeah. King Spawn, I feel like we're inching and closer to King Spawn. Can you give us an update?
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, for a long time ago, you know, trust me, we're working on it. And we were, right? I mean, again, but there are things in between, right? A pandemic and then last year's actor and writer strike. So it shut down a big chunk of it. But when it was possible to be moving forward, we were. It's just that people couldn't see it, right? And so I ended up getting the script, you know, just before San Diego. And I just turned to the writers and Jason at Blumhouse and went, man, guys, I don't think we can keep this to ourselves, right? I've been telling them we're working on it, and we now have a fact, right? That image that I put up on Monday was basically not making any promises, not making any wishes, saying factually there's a script. Now, some people misinterpreted it because a little bit of inside baseball, because we didn't put any comment, right? That they went, oh man, he's got a title. No, it wasn't about the title. It was, if you have that sheet, you have a script underneath it that's completed. So we have our first draft, which now allows us to go and hunt down our director, right? And once we've got a script and a director, then boom, instantly we go into the studios and we're off to the races. And now with, you know, them waking up tomorrow to a plus $200 million number for Deadpool, and, you know, with Batman's villain coming out here in October, they're going to realize that they can make money doing R-rated comic book movies. And we're hoping that, because oddly, you know, it took us so long to get there, we might actually be sort of Johnny on the spot to say, oh, you're looking for R-rated material that isn't Marvel and DC, because only Warner Brothers and Disney can have that. Everybody else in that city, boom, we've got our script. Oh, by the biggest R-rated property in comic books that you can get, and there isn't even a close second, right? And I just say that factually based on sales.
You know what I like too about this year in film is that this has been a hell of a year for horror movies. We've had some great horror movies come out, from Immaculate, you know, The First Omen, Abigail. All these fantastic movies coming out, and the superhero genre has been in a little bit of a slump, a little bit.
Yeah, a little. I call it soft. It's been soft.
A bit.
Right? Yep.
So when you got that first script back, did it have those horror elements that you were looking for? What Spawn is kind of known for at its root in comics?
I would say I wouldn't say horror per se. What I would say is really dark and mature, right? And it's a hard read, right? So I think it may make some people uncomfortable when they watch it if we basically do everything that's in that first draft. But for us, that was the goal, right? So, you know, the three writers, Matt Mixon and Malcolm Spellman and Scott Silver, and two of them have had, you know, big fingers on superhero properties, comic book properties. We knew that we could not go out there and do Marvel light, DC light. That would be a fool's game, because we knew we weren't going to get a giant budget, right? Right now, just off the top of our head, we're looking at the script and we're thinking it's about a $65 million budget, right? So if you try and compete with the $200-300 million budget with one of the big extravaganzas that they have at Marvel and DC movies, you're going to fail. You're going to fail because people will recognize you're just giving them the watered down version. What we needed to do, which is why we're excited about what came in on the script, is that we wanted to take our own sort of direction and our own viewpoint, not only on quote unquote comic book movies, but on Spawn himself,
Sure.
right? And just say, hey, and Scott Silver said, one of the prominent writers, said, Todd, look, we don't want to make a Marvel movie or a DC movie. We want to make an Image Comics movie. And for people who don't know, Image Comics is where I've been publishing Spawn for 30 years. It's the third largest company. It's Marvel, DC, Image Comics. But we have our own brand of eclectic comic books, and we're not trying to repeat what Marvel and DC Comics do. We just have our own voice. He wants to do that with this film. And when you read it, you're going to go, yeah, like, you're either going to go, wow, cool, or you're going to go, oh man, I'll just go and I'm used to the stuff that they give me back there. What I'm hoping for, what I've been saying since the very beginning, is that I think that moviegoers can take a wide range of types of movies.
Sure.
They don't all have to fit in the same box. And just mathematically, if you were 10 years old and you went to the very first Iron Man movie, and let's say that kickstarted the whole MCU, you're now 26. You are an adult,
right.
And things change in your life. The food you eat, the music you listen to, the clothes you wear, everything has shifted. You can take R-rated. You can take R-rated at 26. Don't worry about it. And Deadpool's going to prove it, and Joker 2 is going to prove it in October.
Yeah, I mean, look, DC Comics is with Warner Brothers. We know that Marvel's with Disney.
Yep.
And I always felt that Image Comics gives me the vibe of more like a Blumhouse, obviously, or like an A24.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Great kind of like indie storytelling, but it's all about the art. With way back when, I know that we had Jeremy Renner attached to the Spawn film. Is that still a go with him?
Well, right now, like there's like a roadmap,
Sure.
right? And everybody's sort of going down the roadmap. And the roadmap for the longest time was we got to get a script.
Sure.
We got to get a script. We can't do it. You can't make a movie without a script. And so that Monday that I posted is like, boom, that's like the biggest hurdle, right? Boom, we're over the fence. So all that sort of saying we're working. Once you get over the other side of the fence, the slope starts to go down. Like gravity starts working in your favor. So our next checkbox, given that we just checked script, everybody's focused on, let's go get the director. Because once you get the script and you get the director and they have a vision, then that's what attracts and can grab people on the casting side, right? And we have to make our deal in Hollywood anyways. We're hoping, fingers crossed, we can do a multi-picture deal, right? So we just don't come in and do a one and done. And so that's where we're at right now. Like literally, I think next week on Tuesday we have a director's call on whittling down the handful of names that we want to sort of go after and chase.
I mean, and maybe next year in 2025, we could get a Todd McFarlane announcement in Hall H about some Spawn properties. Hopefully, fingers crossed, right?
Look, if we haven't made those decisions by next year this time, then we are way behind schedule, right? We're hoping to make those decisions this year, right?
Oh.
Like not next year.
So we're hoping that next year we have something to show the fans at Comic-Con.
Depending on the comfort level, it's possible. Right? I mean, why shouldn't we be in production if we can find our director, do our casting, make our deal, and go? Why can't we? Will they want to show anything to tease people? I don't know. You know, studios do what they do, but no, we're not waiting a year to hit the next check. We've been waiting a long time. We're now on hyper speed to get this all done, and everybody, Blumhouse, the writers, myself, we're all excited at the sort of the bold direction. If there's anything, the studios might be a little taken aback at like, wow, this is aggressive, right? In terms of what you're trying to do here, right? It's not a typical superhero movie, and either they're going to find that as a glass half empty or half full. Right. And we're hoping to find a couple of the buyers that go, wow, that's a plus, not a negative. So.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so are we.
Something else I want to talk to about is we haven't had Spawn in a video game in almost 2 decades.
Correct.
He's been in video games, but not a Spawn video game.
Correct. Yeah.
So, Or is that something else that you would like to see
Sure.
incorporated into the property?
So here's one of the things that I've been intentionally doing, knowing that, and this is a part of the aggravation of it, that it takes so long, and some of the circumstances of the development of Hollywood. I've intentionally held my gunpowder and kept it dry, right? So that I can walk into a studio and say, look it. I think there's a deal to be made, a big deal to be made on the Spawn front, whether that's a single, a triple, or let's talk about the Spawn universe. Let's have a big conversation here, right? Because I've had over 2,000 characters march through the pages of Spawn, and I now will be doing 15 different books this year. So we can have as big a conversation you want, but I've kept it pretty clean. So you can help be a partner in how we move it forward marketing. And so I didn't want them to come in and go, oh my God, Todd's got, video games and t-shirts and hats and Lego sets and this and that. And that. I've purposely turned people away for years and years to I'm hoping that they see that as a value add because it's clean and they can go, let's go. And then look, there's 2 video games that can come out, right? There's the one based on the look of the movie,
Sure.
which will be its own thing, right? And then there's a 30-year history on the comic book. So we can skin that cat a couple different times, and then people go, man. But I also, part of it was wanting to make sure that we got out of the bubble.
Right.
And the bubble is comic books. And to me, to do anything meaningful, could I have made a deal with video games? Sure. But it would be mostly sort of us geeks that know it. And what I'm hoping for is that if we can get the word Spawn out to the public, right? Which basically means you got to get it in a meaningful TV or movie. Then all of a sudden, if there's a video game, then people will say, oh, it's based on that thing. And they're not going to say comic books. They're going to say that TV or movie or whatever else. Let me tell you, if I want instant street cred with anybody on my neighborhood, I don't say that I created Spawn per se. I go, oh yeah, I co-created Venom. And they go, oh, I went to that movie. And so it's not that they read the comic book or they know anything. They just know it's a movie and, oh, somehow you're tied to a movie. Oh, you must be good, Todd, right? I need to get Spawn in a meaningful way into that same stratosphere that, Walking Dead, my partner, Robert Kirkman at Image Comics, created The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And when they bought that property, it was selling 85,000 copies.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good for a black and white comic book, really good. And yet in its height, it had 23 million people watching it. So we need to get people in Portugal and Spain and Bosnia and the Czech Republic to also like Spawn. And then we can sell them video games, right? But they don't know Spawn yet. We got to get the brand to them and then give them the goods.
And that pop culture zeitgeist, it's all about getting in those algorithms,
Right.
as some would say.
Just be patient, right? I look, I've been at it for 40 years. It seems like a long career. I still, and maybe I'm delusional, I still think I got another 40 in me.
You do.
I'm halfway. People go, you gonna write your memoir? Why? I'm only halfway through, right? I'll write it at the end.
Yeah.
I'll probably get hit by a bus and never write it.
Don't say that, Todd. Come on now. I love your action figures. We talk about this all the time. That Aquaman back there is mine.
Do it.
You had some really cool announcements this weekend at San Diego, and I saw that Batmobile from Batman Forever, which is fantastic, and also the '89 Alfred that's coming out. I geek out on that stuff.
Sure.
So when you're walking the floor in Comic-Con, what's something that you geek out on?
It's interesting. It's not anything specific. What puts a smile on my face is, we're celebrating our 30th year of making toys. 30 years ago when I got into the toy business, and one of the major reasons I got into the toy business is that there weren't any toys that appealed to me.
Right.
I'd walk the floor at Toy Fair, which is nothing but toys. And I go, maybe there's 2 things here, 3 things here. And now, within 10 years after I started to show the blueprint that if you make toys a different way and you try and go after different demographics, which was the big one, because the toy companies were selling to moms and 6-year-olds. And so I went after basically teenagers and adults. And so a lot of companies have followed suit and they see it with success. That you now walk around Toy Fair, even here at Comic-Con, which is only a fraction of toys, and there are hundreds of super awesome things. And so the smile to me is that, yes, and my sinister master plan way back then was, if I can do a toy differently and it works, I think people will repeat it, will repeat the playbook, which they have, which will mean that all toys will rise in quality, so that a guy like me who was, an adult, will have more opportunities to buy stuff that is super cool. And between statues and figures and even fun stuff like Funko and stuff like that, like there are so many options to buy stuff now past the age of 14. It's awesome. Because when I got into toys, if you walked into Toys R Us, when I got into toys 30 years ago, and you stood there and you said, I am 12, what is in this building? The biggest toy sellers, what is in this building? The answer was a video game and a bike. Yeah. And that was it. And so now with the internet, we've got lots of stuff. So I'm excited about fandom growing every day.
Well, look, Mr. McFarlane, I love talking to you. You're an absolute legend. I mean, you are a Comic-Con god. You're the Todd father. Thank you so much for joining me and coming by Screen Rant. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. We'll see you next year. Hopefully there's lots of good news.
Yeah, Hall H, I'm holding you to it, Todd.
Okay, Hall H, here we go.
There we go. Thank you so much, man.